Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanMuscle.com, and today I'm taking a closer look at and installing the RedLine Tuning Hood QuickLIFT Plus system available for the 2018 and newer GT and EcoBoost Mustang. You should be checking this out if you're the owner of a newer S550 and you're looking to ditch that factory hood prop to pick up a good, reliable set of hood struts. Now, you might be looking at this for a couple of different reasons: convenience, appearance, modernization. A lot of different things come into effect when talking about a set of hood struts. Now, looking at first off that factory prop that you see here, this thing is just in the way and it's outdated. So having this down and having that entire front end free gives you a lot more room to work with. Secondly, again, going back to it just being outdated, hood struts, I believe, should have come on the new 2018s and 2019s from the factory. I think we're at that point in life where we're past hood props, so being able to throw them on easily is definitely a huge bonus. Also, they're a lot easier to use. You don't have to put so much effort into opening your hood. As you see, you really can just throw it up, and it has a progressive gas design. What that means is, you just give it a quick flick, it opens up quickly, and then once it starts to near the top, the gas strut pressurizes and slows itself down so it doesn't slam open. One thing else I like to point out is using hood struts, it actually opens your hood about 2 to 3 inches more than it would when you're using your factory prop. With your factory prop, your hood comes down to about right here. Using the hood struts, opens up just a little bit more. Now for taller guys bending over the engine bay to work on their car, this can make a huge world of difference. Shorter guys like me, we might not notice as much, but I personally think it can be very helpful when you're leaning over any angle of the engine bay to have that hood just a little bit higher. In addition to that, guys going to car shows, this thing can block a pretty beautiful engine bay, especially if you have a lot of underhood dress up. The hood prop just takes a lot away from that, so getting rid of that, going with some hood struts, makes a huge difference in appearance, especially for show car owners. Now, this kit particularly comes in right around $100. It is one of the more premium options when it comes to hood struts. There are some cheaper options out there that might not hold up over the lifetime of the vehicle, and when it comes to your hood, I personally like to know that it's just gonna last a lifetime. You don't wanna get to the point where you pick up a cheaper set of hood struts and your hood fails, or the struts fail and the hood comes down on top of you. If you're underneath, that can hurt. Don't want to worry about that. These struts are definitely going to last for the long haul. Now, they do require a little bit of drilling, but not into your vehicle. You're drilling into your battery cover. That's off car, and I'll show you guys that on a table in a little bit, but the kit does come with a stepped drill bit, so you don't have to pick up a separate one, makes life easier, and really it's just hassle-free. What you're gonna do is use the template included in the kit. That'll mark your hole. It literally could not be easier. Now the kit itself, for $100, you're getting 2 gas struts, 4 brackets, the stepped drill bit, and of course you're getting that template to guide your drilling. They all come black E-coated to protect the finish, corrosion and rust resistant, all of that good stuff you'd expect from a more premium kit. It's also CAD designed, which means it's gonna be an exact fitment every single time. There's no hit or miss, there's no trial and error. It's a perfect fit to your S550. Install, I'm gonna give 2 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter, only because there's drilling involved, but still, it's a piece of cake for anybody with a drill. I'm gonna take you through every step of the process. It'll take you about 30 minutes, maybe an hour from start to finish. Let's get to it. Tools used in this install include a drill, a 3/4 inch stepped drill bit included in the kit, 1/4 inch ratchet, 10 and 13 millimeter deep sockets, a center hole punch, and wire cutters or scissors or a box cutter, something to cut your battery cover with. All right, we're gonna start here for the install on the right side of our vehicle. You wanna grab the right specific bracket. You can tell it's the right specific bracket because it has the number 20 punched into the steel, but it also has a cutout hole in the top, which the other bracket does not have, and I'll explain that in a second. I'm gonna put that down, grab a ratchet and a 10 millimeter deep socket. We're gonna remove the uppermost nut on the hood bracket on the top up. Now, when we're removing this, you can still have your hood prop holding the hood up, so you don't have to worry about the hood falling out of place. Now, because these are also painted, it might give you just a little bit of a struggle here, just because the paint in there is pretty dried up on there. All right, just set that aside. We're gonna use that in a moment. Now what you're gonna do is take your washer fluid line and just pull that out of place. We're gonna push that pin down just a little bit, which is going to readjust the position. Now you're gonna take your bracket, set it on over that stud, and thread on that factory nut. Tighten that back down. Now on certain models, this top hole will line up with a secondary hole in the hood, and you can relocate this washer fluid line to the bracket itself. Ours looks like it's not lining up properly, so what we're gonna do is just replace that coolant line right back to where it was, but you wanna make sure you're tucking the line inside of the bracket like this. So you see this little nipple sticking out, that's where the hood strut's gonna connect. Put that line on the inside there. All right, the next step, we're gonna mark our hole to drill into our battery cover. Now, it sounds scary, it's really not that scary. They include the drill bit in the kit for you, as well as this little template that kind of looks like the shape of a whale. What we're gonna do is take this template and install it onto the battery cover and use this small hole to mark our drilling location. So let's show you that here. If you go over to your battery cover, the bottom left has this screw-on pin. You want to unscrew that until it's all the way up. You can see just by your fingers you're unscrewing that. And pull straight back to get it off. Take the template and put that in place right over that hole, the larger hole right over the hole. And you're going to take that push pin and put it right back in. It might take a little finesse to get back into that hole. Then you can tighten it back down. Now what you're going to do is line the edges of this up with the rubber seal on the battery cover. So it's just completely straight, lined up with this bottom, not the edge, the outer edge, the interior seal right here. Once you have that lined up and tightened down, that's the position you want. You want to take a center punch or a Sharpie or something to mark your location. That can really help you out. Center punch is definitely the way to go. You can go right in that small hole and mark that location. Like to hit it a couple of times just to get a nice deep groove. Cool. Once you have that, take this pin out, remove this. Now you have your hole marked. Now we can take the whole battery cover off and we're going to drill that out. All right, so now we're trying to get our battery cover off so we can remove the next two screw-on clips here. Again, you can just use your fingers, pull straight out. Now we can pop our battery cover off, put it on a table, and get to drilling. Now included in the kit is a 3/4 step down drill bit. You want to put this on your drill and you can get to work. We need to go down all the way to the 3/4 inch section, so you want to use the entire drill bit when making your hole. All right, now we got our battery cover on a table. We can see where we marked our hole. Grab your drill bit. Now you want to install this bracket to the hole pre-drilled into the side of your engine bay. Now what you're going to do is loosen this nut up so it's just a couple of threads on. You don't want it to be able to fall off, but you want that loosened. So loosen that up to the end there. What you're going to do is feed this gold nut into this opening here on your passenger side. Now it might take you a few tries to get the right angle. Once you get it, it'll pop in there. You might want to push down on the bolt head too to give yourself a little bit more room. Perfect. Once it's in there, you want to make sure that this stud is facing the outside of the vehicle, so face yourself, and you want to make sure that that nut is facing the front and rear of the vehicle. You don't want it lined up this way, you want it parallel to the bracket. Once you have that, you're going to pull up on the bracket to keep it from moving, and you're going to tighten down the nut with a 13 socket. As you pull up on it, it'll keep that nut from spinning. There you go. And from there, it'll get nice and tight. Now we can put our battery cover back on, and the hole that we drilled will line up with this stud here so that it comes through. Just to show you what that'll look like before we move forward. Basically just like that. Perfect. So the stud comes through, you can attach your hood strut, and it stays in place. Now with this installed, you can see the problem of your battery cover not being able to come off as easily as it once was. So what we recommend is from that hole, cut down to the edge. That way when you remove the twist-on cap, you can just pull it out through that slot you'll cut. So that's what we're gonna do next. I really recommend doing that for the guys who maybe find themselves taking the battery cover off pretty often. This will make life a lot easier. All right, now what I'm gonna do is use wire cutters. You can use scissors or a box cutter, whatever works for you. And we're gonna cut from the hole that that stud comes through just down to the bottom. Perfect. Now what that's gonna do is when you take the battery cover off, it'll slot out. That way you can get your battery cover off without having any struggle. So now we're gonna put this back in place, and it actually makes it a little easier to get around the stud as it slides in between it. Grab your screws and put them back in place. All right, so next up, we're gonna repeat on the other side, except this side's a lot easier. The driver's side doesn't have the battery cover, so we don't have to drill, and it doesn't have that line at the top, so we don't have to worry about that. So what we're gonna do is switch back over to our 10mm socket. We're gonna remove that upper nut on the factory hood bracket. All right, once you have that removed, take your remaining bracket. We're gonna slide that up into position and just replace the factory nut. When you're doing this, you just wanna make sure that the bracket is, sitting straight. You don't want it at an angle or anything weird like that. You can use this as a reference. Perfect, now we can do the bottom one. Same thing, we're just gonna slot that into the hole in the firewall. Face it towards you, the outside of the vehicle, pull back, tighten it down. Now when installing your hood struts, out of the box, both ends may be tightened. What you want to do is just crack those guys loose. They are screws, so you can crack them loose just a little bit so they rotate easily on both sides. You want to make sure that you're grabbing the one, they are side specific, make sure you're grabbing the one that is easily legible from the outside of the vehicle, right? So this one reads up, RedLine Tuning. If you installed it the other way, it would just not make sense. So what you want to do is find the one for your driver's side. We're going to connect it to the bottom first, which is going to be your tube. And you're going to push and snap it in place. All right, so that snaps in, and we can easily rotate it, get it a little tighter, facing the outside of the vehicle. Now what we're gonna have to do is push up on our hood, which means we have to put our hood strut down. You might need a helping hand for this one, so you're gonna lift up on the hood, pop that prop out of place, line this up with your stud. Once that's popped in, that's good. Now you can lower the hood and set it on the prop again. Guys, now we're doing the same thing on the other side. Grab your remaining hood strut, crack that guy loose, top guy loose, connect it to the bottom first. You're gonna push up on your hood and connect the top stud. All right, perfect. Now, as you'll see, RedLine Tuning is facing the outside. You can see it easily. Now, of course, you have the option to reverse that and have them face the inside if you want the black on the outside of the vehicle and RedLine to be visible from the inside. Personal preference. I personally like them facing the outside. You want to see that branding. From here, you can either remove the hood prop. If you don't want it anymore, it's a simple 10mm bolt. You can pop that guy off, or you can leave it on just in case you want a safety net. Myself, we're actually gonna leave it on the vehicle, but if you guys wanna pop it off, that's your option too. Well guys, that's gonna wrap up my review and install for the RedLine Tuning Hood QuickLIFT Plus system for the 18 and newer GT or EcoBoost. You can get yours right here at AmericanMuscle.com.